All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into a pretty radical idea, one that's about 400 years old, from a theologian named Stephen Charnock, and it offers a completely different blueprint for understanding our chaotic world.
And that's the big question, right? At the heart of this whole thing is this provocative thought: what if every single event, big or small, isn't an accident, but is actually part of a grand unfolding plan?
So, Charnock's idea is that the universe isn't just a series of random events. He says it's being constantly and actively governed by a supreme intelligence. It's a pretty bold claim, right? So let's actually dig into what that even means. Okay, so if there's this governing force, what is it? And what does it actually do? Charnock builds his entire concept on this image of total active awareness. Now, what's really interesting is how he breaks this down. He doesn't just leave it as some vague concept. He gets specific. So you see, this isn't just someone, passively watching from a distance. He's saying the extent covers everything, from the smallest worm to the most powerful king. The diligence is constant. It's 24/7. The eyes never close. And this is the key part. It all has a purpose. It's all being guided towards some kind of final goal.
Yeah, Charnock really loves this analogy of a pilot. It's not just about raw power or control, it's about skill, right? A pilot has a destination. But here's the kicker. How does this pilot use the storms, the chaos, to actually stay on course?
Okay, so this is where things get really, really interesting. Maybe a little mind-bending. Charnock's most fascinating claim is that even the bad stuff, evil actions, mistakes, total chaos, are all tools being used in this grand plan. That's such a powerful image, right? You've got wheels spinning in opposite directions, fighting each other, but they're all part of the same engine, working toward the same goal. And Charnock says, hey, you can see this happening all throughout history. He uses some pretty famous stories to prove his point. So in this case, a totally malicious act from his brothers. They literally wanted to get rid of him. That becomes the exact mechanism that saves thousands of people, including themselves. That's the contrary motion serving the ultimate end. Or how about this one? A powerful emperor just wants to count his people. Probably for taxes, right? A totally self-serving act of ambition. And yet, this is the very thing the pilot uses to orchestrate a world-changing event, getting the right people to the right place at the exact right time. It's incredible. Even something as random as a king being bored and unable to sleep becomes a critical part of the whole plan. But, okay, as neat as all these stories are, they bring up a giant, unavoidable problem. If everything is part of some perfect plan, then what about all the pain and suffering in the world? Yeah, this is the one. The question everyone asks. If some benevolent force is in charge, why do good people suffer? And why does it so often look like the bad guys are winning? Well, Charnock's move here is to completely reframe the problem. He says what we see as just random, pointless misery is actually a tool for refinement. It's kind of like a blacksmith's fire, It burns away all the junk to make the metal stronger, purer, ready for something important. And what about the wicked who seem to be doing great? Well, he uses this really stark, almost brutal farming analogy. He says their prosperity is temporary. It's like a prisoner getting a final good meal before their trial. Or, as the quote puts it, they're just fattening for the knife of justice. It's a short-term win before a final, inescapable consequence. Ultimately, Charnock's conclusion is that we're incompetent judges. We can't see the whole picture. It's like we're standing with our nose pressed up against a giant tapestry, only able to see a few messy threads, and we have no idea what the final, incredible image looks like. So it really demands a kind of humility about what we think we know. Which leads to the final question. If all of this, the chaos, the suffering, the joy, is part of a design, then what's the point of it all? Okay, so what is the point? According to this whole idea, the entire massive machine of Providence, from empires rising and falling to the most personal tragedies, it's all aiming at one single final purpose. And this is the destination that the pilot is steering the ship towards. Every storm, every contrary wind, every single thing that happens is a thread being woven into this beautiful final tapestry. And according to Charnock, that final masterpiece is all for the good of those that love God. It's where everything finally works together for good. I think this might be his most powerful analogy of all, the physician. Because it doesn't ignore the pain, right?
It acknowledges the lance that makes us bleed, but it frames that pain as a necessary part of the healing. The painful part and the soothing part, they're both essential to the cure.
So when you boil it all down, what Charnock's Providence really is, it's a framework. It's a 400-year-old system for finding meaning in chaos, for finding purpose in pain, and for seeing a hidden order in a world that, let's be honest, often feels completely disordered. So there you have it, our explainer on Charnock's Divine Providence. It really leaves us with one heck of a question to think about. How would you see the world, your life, the news, everything, differently if you truly believed that every single event had a purpose? Thanks for watching.